Um, KJ said, I've also noticed that Joe Biden still supports fracking, which is bad for the environment. I'm in California where we have lots of nuclear power plants. And one thing I think would be interesting for you to kind of interject into that, Howie, is how Ukraine has seemed to even more ramp up our desire for domestic production.
Domestic production, oil and gas, I talked about that. Also nuclear. I mean, there are a lot of people saying, Germans should restart plants they shut down. My argument is all the money you're going to spend doing that should go into renewables. Bill McKibben had a nice article, Heat Pumps for Peace and Freedom. You can get a lot more energy efficiency and substitution of renewables for oil and gas by investing in the renewables and the efficient technologies like heat pumps. Wasting money on nuclear, as I described those plants, particularly building new plants. Now, the plants that are running and are not, really on the edge of falling apart, they should be phased out as the renewables come on. I don't think we should just shut them down immediately without the renewables to replace that power, because that'll be too disruptive to an economy that needs to keep functioning so we can build these renewables. But people keep coming forward with nuclear as an answer, and it's a diversion of particularly resources and time. We don't have time to build new nukes. They take, well over a decade to come online. They're having problems all over the world building them. So that's just a false solution.
Garrett said, Howie, it seems like many activists today have associated the Green New Deal with AOC and the Democrats, and so I've seen leftists that think that the Green New Deal is a neoliberal plan. What's the best way to get the message out about the eco-socialist Green New Deal? Do we need to hold more events, write our own books, consider rebranding?
No, I think not rebranding, because most of the Democrats have abandoned it. And as I discussed earlier, yeah, it's a neoliberal, privatized approach to the energy transition based on incentives to corporations, corporate welfare, loan guarantees, grants, and tax breaks. So I think we just got to explain that. I think that's why, in our presidential race, we called it a eco-socialist Green New Deal, to distinguish from what the Democrats have done, watering it down, not just in terms of eliminating the ban on fracking, the new fossil fuel infrastructure, and the phase out of nuclear power, and the cuts in military spending, and the extension of the deadline for zero emissions by 2 decades, but also in terms of, the Green Party's Green New Deal always emphasized doing the public sector being the driver of the transition we need, because we need public ownership and planning to coordinate all the things that got to happen to make this transition. And it's not going to be done with incentives to, scores or hundreds of corporations making their own independent decisions about what's good for their own bottom line. But I don't think we should abandon the Green New Deal slogan. It's sort of been abandoned by the Democrats, except for the squad and a few others on the left fringe of the Democratic Party. What we should be doing is basically educating them. I'm not sure when you came on, Garrett, but I talked about the progressive Dems not just being those in office, but those NGOs that support them, like the Sunrise Movement. And I talked about how the Climate Conservation Corps, or the Civilian Climate Corps, is very different from the New Deal's Civilian Conservation Corps. It's privatized. They're going to run through Medicare. It's going to be grants to private entities, unlike the Civilian Conservation Corps of the New Deal, which was a public agency with public employees implementing a coordinated plan of conservation. So I think that's why we call it the eco-socialist Green New Deal. We need that to distinguish us from what the progressive Democrats are doing.